Oh, there it is. Oh. Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the new academic year. It's so exciting to see everyone. And I wanted to say particularly welcome to all the new faculty, staff, and administrators who are here this year. We're so glad that you've joined us, and I really look forward to working with you all this year, particularly following what has been such a challenging year in 2017-18. I think we're all looking forward to a fresh start on campus. I'm looking forward to working with you all to make this a really engaging and creative and collaborative, constructive year for our campus. For those of you who are new, who I just haven't met yet, I'm the faculty chair this year. My name's Laura Watt. I'm from the also new Department of Geography, Environment, and Planning. We've just formed last year by merging two departments. Just to make things complicated, I'm also graduate coordinator for the Cultural Resources Master's Program, which is in anthropology, so I'm about as interdisciplinary as you can get. I'm joined this year in faculty governance by Melinda Milligan from sociology. Where are you? Melinda? There she is, yay! She's our vice chair. Carmen Works, where are you? Carmen, there she is. She's our immediate past chair, as many of you know. She is technically on sabbatical this fall, but hopefully she'll still be visiting now and then. And Elizabeth Stanley, are you here somewhere? Elizabeth? Well, I don't see her. Elizabeth Stanley from Business Administration will be the Senate Secretary. I think she's out of town, actually. The Senate is the deliberative body of the faculty, and I really hope to increase its usefulness this year, specifically as a conduit for communication between the various arms of the university and from the faculty to the Senate and then back out again, so that the Senate isn't just its own little isolated thing, which it isn't, but I really consider it to be an every other week opportunity to have a check-in and to have a conversation about what's happening across campus. We are planning to be emailing out some highlights, some greatest hits of each meeting, so please look for those every other Thursday or Friday. It's early. We're in a period, as you know, of redefinition or rearticulation of sort of who and what Sonoma State is. It's a process of sort of reconnecting, I think, with a stronger sense of place, identity, and intention. And it's based on a number of recent changes as well as ongoing efforts. Some of those are, we have very new administrative leadership. Almost every administrator at the upper level is new in the last 2 years, which is pretty amazing. And they're really bringing a breath of incredibly fresher air after decades of pretty opaque campus management and an often acrimonious relationship with the faculty. So that's a really wonderful change. We're working on strategic planning. Great work has been done by everyone last year to identify our sort of overarching goals and core values. This year is going to be much more about identifying more targeted objectives and plans for implementation, so that's pretty exciting to be going on. As many of you know, we're sort of in the middle of a major revision of the GE program. It's underway. This was recommended by our external reviewer as well as by WASC, our accrediting body, and so a lot of rethinking is needed here. The GERS committee, the GE revision committee, has been working hard all summer long, and they actually have a website up now about GE revision, and I think they're going to be bringing some recommendations to campus really soon. Another interesting sort of shift has been, I think, in student recruiting. It's refocused more on our local service area instead of sort of recruiting so heavily in Southern California like had been done in the past. And combined with our recent designation as a Hispanic serving institution, I think there's real increased attention to who our students are and how we are serving them best that I really appreciate. And then finally, sort of the obvious thing, the disruption from from October wildfires last year. I still can't talk about it right. It really shook us to our core in some fundamental ways, I think, as well as the whole county around us. And we are I think we're going to continue to discover the ways in which that event and its aftermath have transformed aspects of our local landscape, our local economy, and our local community. So with those sort of things all in process, as we move forward with tackling these goals and ambitions, I think we need, continued emphasis on the importance of sort of clear and frequent communication and collaboration across campus. And that's really going to be one of the main themes of what I'm hoping to do this year as chair. I think we all can agree that we never want to go back to those darker, sort of more acrimonious days. And we really can't waste any energy on infighting or misunderstandings. There's just too much to get done. So I want to toss out just a few ideas this morning, falling into sort of three broad topics, all of which I am wildly fond of. And I have a few images to show because I'm not capable of talking without them, except I don't know how to turn this thing on. Well, it's already up there, yay. Okay, so, this is the problem, you can't see the screen from here. I'm a landscape historian, that's my sort of field, and I hope you'll indulge me in a very brief lesson about landscapes, which is what I spend my time focusing on. As you can see on the slide, Paul Groth, who's a cultural landscape historian and a beloved mentor of mine, describes landscape as the interaction of people and place. It's what we experience as a landscape is a combination of what's physically out there, biologically out there, plus what's in our heads, the ideas and values that we bring. How we think and feel about what we see matters, and this in turn influences how we interpret, use, and change landscapes. That sort of comes from geographer Donald Meinig saying it's an amalgam of what we see and what we think. Through constant reinterpretations and changes over time, the visual and material details of a given landscape will gradually reflect the ideas and values of the people who live in the area. In this way, landscapes become, as geographer Pierce Lewis has written, our unwitting autobiographies. It's one of my favorite phrases ever. We're writing our story even as we don't realize we're doing it into the landscape. We may use terms cultural landscape or natural landscape. I always argue that all of them are both. There's culture everywhere, there's nature everywhere, no matter how developed or undeveloped places might be. And just the last point, because of this constant interaction between people and place, between nature and culture, landscapes are dynamic. They're always changing and shifting with changing environmental conditions as well as changing cultural values. So place shapes us just as we are shaping it. And I think it's worthwhile to stop and think about the history of our place here at Sonoma State. We have been transformed. Let's see if this works. Oh, it does, yay. Never quite trust technology. We've been transformed from, pancake flat, seed farm, which is what we started off with in 1960. If you haven't seen these old photographs in Salazar Hall, go look at them again. They're really, I always find them very illuminating. There's campus right at the very beginning. Flat, no trees, no nothing. Lots of buildings, lots of parking lots. I love this photo just because I want those light fixtures back. They're cool. So we've gone from this, where you could see, this is from Stevenson looking up at Sonoma Mountain, and now we're this. And so I think it's useful to think about the ways in which our collective values get written into this place, how they shape how we interact with this place, and sort of ask what autobiographies have we written, and how is that changing now? So that brings me to my second theme, which is resilience. Earlier this year, Sonoma State formally joined a small group called the Resilience Studies Consortium. It's a group of 9 small liberal arts schools, both public and private, from diverse parts of the country and also representing diverse communities. These are schools forming a partnership based in some place-based education and really trying to expand educational opportunities for our students. As the first faculty representative from SSU in this group, I've been thinking a lot about how our campus contributes to a broader sense of place and community resilience in our county, in our service area, and especially relevant after last year's fires. I thought it was interesting, the county's doing a lot of redefinition too, and look, they're using the word resilient. So it's trendy, it's happening. Always important, right? So I think resilience stems from many sources on campus, or contribution to a sense of resilience, which I'm going to lump into three very familiar categories to the faculty. Apologies that my examples are all very sort of my world centric. I know that there's loads of them from across campus, but I just wanted to grab a couple. One is, oh, I forgot the slide was there. We want to think about how we're contributing to a sense of resilience on campus and beyond. Teaching is the first sort of realm of contributing to resilience that I can think of, especially but not limited to real place-based education. I put this up as an example of Fairfield Osborne. I live right near the preserve, I'm very lucky for that. Amazing naturalist training program that's been going on for years. Creating students who can talk about this place to adults, to children, really help to explain to people where they are. There's also, we have a lot of field-based study in classes. These are some of my students on a field trip down to Sears Point for the big wetland restoration down there a few years ago. And of course, there's service learning and internships in the community. Lots and lots and lots of those. My second example of where we sort of produce resilience is research. I think it's interesting to note that we do more research here than most sort of small liberal arts schools, many of which don't really do much research at all. And yet we also contrast with the larger R1s, which do lots of research, but may have much less of a local focus. Not all of our research here is locally focused, but a lot of it is, and a lot of it, I think the rest, at least has local applications. So I think our research really does contribute to an understanding of where we are in some really unique and powerful ways. I'm so excited about Ms. Margie's amazing community mapping project that's happening in Santa Rosa, where people are able to contribute to a live accumulation, of places and stories and important aspects of Santa Rosa's history that really takes it beyond the standard story of the city's history as they go into their sesquicentennial this year. I can't believe I just said sesquicentennial. Twice. So that's really cool. Another example, pardon the self-promotion here, but I've written a book about Point Reyes and all my work at West Marin. Again, really contributing to people's understanding of this place that we live in and what its history has been, how it's changed over time. Then lastly, I think, our resilience stems from community service and engagement. This is just one aspect of that, but a number of our graduates out in the community are doing things like running the solar installation company, or they're working for the environmental nonprofits. I put this slide from the Laguna Foundation. 2 of my recent advisees are on staff, and so it's really cool to have the extension of the work that we do here on campus out there in the community. I think we all have these really extensive networks of people that we know, whether they're our former students or just colleagues that we work with in the community. And I think, one of the things we can talk about this year is how can we better coordinate those networks across campus and beyond, do a better job of sort of knitting those networks together into a really cohesive and sort of strong sense of connection with our neighboring communities. How many different ways can we do that? As we tackle the challenges in the coming academic year, both the ones that we plan on addressing, of which there are quite a few, and of course the ones that will unexpectedly pop up, as they always do. We already have a lot on our plate, but let's add sort of articulating and emphasizing our role in increasing resilience and strengthening sense of place. I hope that that's something we can talk about as a campus community going forward. As part of that, there's the necessity of working collaboratively, of course, both on campus in terms of cooperation and teamwork, being really clear and transparent, and then out from campus, making sure that our county and our service area knows what we're up to, how we might help, that we're interested in working together to really think about being in this place. And this brings me to my third theme, which is very different than the other ones, and it's really just a metaphor, but I like boats. Some of you know that for many years I've been racing sailboats on San Francisco Bay. I took this when I was in an identical boat, getting ready for a race. And in some ways, I think our campus is like a racing sailboat, so we're gonna try this metaphor out. The San Francisco Bay is a wild place to sail. It presents crazily dynamic conditions within the space of a few minutes. You can get wild wind shifts, you get crazy, weird tidal eddies and things. There's a lot to try and keep your eye on. And on a mid-sized racing boat like this one, we usually crewed with a team of 10. Each person has a unique role, right? My job glamorously was called Pit. I really didn't like that. I would have been, I don't know if this works. Whoops, it doesn't. Darn it. Where's my boat? My boat came. Oh well, the pointer doesn't work. Pit's a job, thank you for fixing that, right in the center of the boat, dealing with all the lines that go up and down, basically. So that requires really different skills and abilities than the skills and abilities needed for the bowman, the person on the front end of the boat, or for the tactician trying to figure out where we're gonna go. Yet there are certain jobs on the boat that require several people who do different things to work in concert, like raising the mainsail, which is really heavy. You can't do it just one person. And it's really imperative throughout the whole process of sailing these things that everyone understands everyone else's role and how those different sort of moving parts interact to make the boat go faster, or how those different moving parts can work against each other, which is something you want absolutely to minimize, right? Me pulling this thing that way and you pulling it that way, that's not good. So, you know, when a boat crew is really dialed in, they often work quietly and smoothly. They often look like they're moving to some planned out script or choreography. You think it's all planned in advance. But of course, that order and flow arises organically and spontaneously from the combined decisions and actions of all these different players, from constant communication amongst the whole team, and from the trust that they have that in each other and respect for each other's work. One of the worst things you can do on a boat is to start trying to do somebody else's job without asking. A strong team has confidence that each of them knows their own role and is focused on that role, while always keeping the whole boat and all of its interrelated parts in mind. That's part of why this is such an exciting activity, is it's really complex. And the result of all that, doing your own job, thinking about the big picture, is to get the boat to go as fast and as steady as possible, no matter what those often changing, sometimes really radically, conditions are like. So I'd really like to see Sonoma State get to this point. We've made a lot of progress in the last years, but there's always room for improvement. You know, a team can always be stronger. I think in terms of understanding the roles that administrators, that staff, and faculty have, and how they dovetail and complement each other, how those pieces come together to create the best possible learning environment for students. Keeping clear and transparent communication going at all times. There's nothing worse than not knowing what's happening on the boat when you're trying to get things to go forward. And trusting each other to be doing our individual jobs to the best of our abilities while constantly keeping an eye on how the whole thing is moving. So I really think that when we're all working together like a team in this way, we can truly go anywhere. So now, I just want to say, have a fabulous and engaging and productive year together. I'm so looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Watt. Good morning. Wow. I'm delighted to welcome each and every one of you, faculty, staff, and students, to the 2018-19 academic year. It's really good to see all of you here and to have you as part of our campus community. The start of a new school year is a time of excitement. In the months to come, there are new ideas to learn, new collaborations to explore, and new milestones to mark. I can't wait to see what we can do together in the year ahead. At this time, I'd like to introduce my cabinet colleagues to you, and please stand and wave. Lisa Vollendorf, Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs. Joyce Lopes, Vice President for Administration and Finance. Greg Sawyer, Vice President for Student Affairs. Gordon McDougall, Vice President for Advancement. Jacob Yarrow, who we just heard on sax, Executive Director of the Green Music Center, and Patty Hiramoto, Chief of Staff. This marks the beginning of the third year of my presidency. I've spent some time this summer thinking about how much we have changed and what we have achieved together over the past 2 years. We've embraced a new focus on student success across the campus, and your efforts have earned us outstanding commendations in our WASC accreditation and numerous accolades. Additionally, members of the campus community and visitors regularly comment on the palpable difference that they feel on campus. So thank you for all that you have done and are doing to put students first. We value excellence, teamwork, collaboration, innovation, and hard work, and it shows. And we've demonstrated incredible grit and resilience. Last year, our remarkable ability to persevere came to life when we faced the unprecedented North Bay fires. My heartfelt thanks to all of you for your care and support. I didn't get a chance to respond to all the emails, the cards, the care packages, and offers of assistance. But believe me, they made a huge difference, and all of you lifted me. My heart is filled with gratitude. Now, despite this great tragedy, not only personally, but for many others at Sonoma State as well, our entire campus community came together. Students, faculty, and staff, we all supported one another. We've been healing and we've been rebuilding with compassion and with care. Unfortunately, new recent fires are raging that continue to impact our region and affect members of our extended community, and our thoughts and prayers and compassion and care go out to all those impacted. 2 weekends ago, we demonstrated the power of our resilience once more. We hosted 2 events right here, both called Thicker Than Smoke. We opened Sonoma State to the broader community and to 2 days of fire-related storytelling and music making. We raised money for first responders who lost their homes in the terrible fires. And again, we came together with compassion and with care. Now we're ready to move forward with intention. New issues, new opportunities, and new possible challenges await us. This summer, I was invited to be a member of a delegation to Israel. I had never been to the Middle East before, and the conflict there worried me. Yet I often tell students and others that we have to push ourselves out of our comfort zones, and so I accepted the invitation. I was one of 10 university presidents who visited and met with university leaders and community members Our delegation was led by Cornell University President President Martha Pollack from Cornell. We visited 5 universities and flew by helicopter, my first time ever on a helicopter, to the Golan Heights and the West Bank, a tricky place to fly over. We met with Israeli, Jewish, Palestinian, Arab, Muslims in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. We listened. We asked questions. We had frank, hard conversations. We often approach things from our own lived experience and perspective because that is what we know and that is who we are. I met Yael, a young mother of 3 children who lived in a kibbutz along the Israeli side of the Gaza border. She cheerfully spoke about the death of a neighbor's child and described a good day as one when the bomb sirens only went off 2 times as opposed to 10. Cheerfully decorated bomb shelters were all around the perimeter of the schools and the playgrounds where the children were. Now, my initial thought was, why would anyone choose to live here under these conditions? Why? And then Yael told of the generations of her family that farmed on the very land on which we stood. And when she expressed her love of her country and spoke of the hope for her community and the future, I understood things in a way that I hadn't before. And then we met with Mohammed, an Arab-Israeli community leader who also described his connection to the farmland that generations of his family owned, also near Gaza. And when he described how his land was summarily taken from him, all except a tiny patch, the tiniest patch where a water well was, and this was taken simply because he was an Arab Israeli. I could feel his pain. Yet Mohammed spoke with pride about his daughter, a college graduate who was the first Arab Muslim employee in a large Israeli company. And he said that no matter what, Israel is his home. And then when Mohammed spoke about how a 2-state solution wasn't really a solution and how outsiders couldn't easily solve the conflict, I could feel his passion and his torment. And I understood the conflict and the complex issues in a way that I had not understood them before my trip. Now, we each bring to the table, to our departments, to our divisions, our units, even our personal relationships, our passion and our perspectives that are rooted in who we are, our education, our discipline, our worldview. There is no single viewpoint or only one way that is always correct. And I say that we are all in process. We're kind of works in progress. We are better as a university, as a community, as people, when we share, we communicate openly, we share our varying perspectives, we listen with respect. We work to truly hear one another. We give each other feedback, and we push ourselves, as I have said before, to dance with change. Now, during my period of summer reflection, I've thought about the hope and the expectation and potential of our students. Increasingly, many of our students are, as I was, a first-generation college student. They embody the hopes and dreams of their parents, grandparents, and ancestors, and they will achieve their goals and dreams because of the college education that they will receive here at Sonoma State. Unfortunately, too many people outside the university community still question this concept. They question whether a college education can actually help make a young person's goals and dreams come true. For example, university leaders are asked more and more frequently, what's the point? What's the point of college in the first place? We're asked questions like, Is college necessary? What's the purpose of a liberal arts education? What's the value of a college degree? To those of us here, the answers to these questions are self-evident. We know that college is necessary because the young people of our society have potential, and a college education unlocks that potential and transforms it into real opportunities. College expands the intellectual and professional horizons of our students and puts them on a path to achieving their dreams. We know that the purpose of a liberal arts education is to give our students a strong, well-rounded academic and personal foundation that prepares them for careers and life, one that will provide them with the skills to be successful in our rapidly changing workplace, one that will keep them curious, and one that will keep them engaged as both the workforce, their community, and the world as a whole change in ways that we can't always predict. We need to prepare our students for a future that is still unfolding in unexpected ways. But as I thought about this new school year, I became persuaded that we as faculty and staff members may need to be even more deliberate about how we educate and prepare our students for the future. We cannot assume that our students somehow will automatically figure out how to realize their potential all by themselves during their years here. It's our responsibility to provide quality learning experiences both inside and outside the classroom, to prepare them for life after college. And it's our responsibility to help them make connection between those quality learning experiences and what awaits them after graduation. So what can we do as faculty members, as staff, and as administrators to best support and engage with our students in a purposeful manner and to help our students achieve their goals and dreams? Now, I don't think any of us knows all the answers, but I think we all agree that we won't make progress if we don't keep focused on that question, to keep focused on our goals and our mission as a public university. The key tool to help us to do this, I believe, is the implementation of our strategic plan that we developed together earlier this year. Our strategic plan gives our university a guide for the best path forward that will help us address the big challenges our university will face, including the challenge of how best to support, engage, and educate our students so that they can achieve their goals and their dreams. I encourage you, each of you, to review, if you haven't already, our strategic plan. Each one of us holds critical responsibilities to our students. There's the responsibility to serve them with integrity and with compassion, the responsibility to give them a strong public liberal arts and sciences education, and the responsibility to provide them with the support they need to earn that education. Our Sonoma State mission is to stay committed to educational access and excellence, to uphold our tradition of providing a strong academic foundation in the liberal arts and sciences to our graduates, and to strengthen our service to a diverse student population. We have a vision of embracing innovation, of serving as a national model of public higher education, and of graduating students who are both prepared to face the challenges of the 21st century and to make an impact in their local and global communities. As we move forward, we are challenged to think anew about what constitutes a general education. What do our students want and need to achieve their objectives and aspirations? What are the workforce needs in Sonoma County, the North Bay, California? What are our societal and national needs? And how do we provide and ensure that our students, irrespective of their majors, have the critical thinking, writing, interpersonal communication skills, cultural competencies, leadership, problem-solving skills, teamwork, business acumen, civic engagement, social justice, the confidence and maturity to be successful. Let's create more internships and real-world learning experiences such that our graduates have opportunities, graduate school and career possibilities that they would not have had if they had not received their degrees from us. We will soon begin the work of implementing our strategic plan across the campus in divisions, in schools, departments, and units. We need to integrate our plan and incorporate it into the work that we will be doing. Now, at the individual level, we can begin to put a part of the plan into action starting right now, today. I've been thinking about the power and impact that one person, each person in this room, a single faculty member, a staff member can have on a student's growth, development, and education. When I was an undergraduate at Cal State East Bay, there was a faculty member, Dr. Carol Becker, in human development, who took a special interest in me. She challenged me. She gave me feedback. She took time with me. She encouraged me to share more of my ideas in class. She gave me confidence and opened my eyes to possibilities that I didn't know existed. She was intelligent. She was self-assured, kind, supportive, and importantly, accessible. I always felt welcome during her office hours. She was an important role model for me. Just a few weeks ago, I met with Dr. Becker for the first time in over 30 years. I wanted to personally tell her of the impact she had on me. I am forever grateful. It was a wonderful, unforgettable reunion. Now imagine if each one of us, each Sonoma State faculty and staff member, and there are more than 1,500 of us, imagine if each one of us took a special interest in the development of just one student, like Dr. Becker did for me. Think about the impact on our students and think about Sonoma State as this caring community. Each one of us, no matter our position or role on campus, each one of you, each one of us, individually and collectively as a member of the Sonoma State family, help our students to succeed. Irrespective of whether we choose to take a special interest in one student, advise a student organization, supervise a student employee, applaud for them at a performance, or root for them at an athletic event. How we arrive on campus every single morning, how we show up with an attitude of optimism and service, that makes a difference. We each have the ability to lift and encourage our students. My hope is that with each student that we greet during move-in or at the welcome barbecue this weekend, with each student you welcome to your classroom, lab, center, or office next week, and with each student you encounter on our beautiful campus, my hope is that you will keep in mind the deliberate student support and engagement that I've talked about this morning and that is laid out in our new strategic plan. Before I close my remarks, I want to share the words of an African-American woman who is a pioneer in her field. She is someone I thought about as I prepared my comments for this morning's convocation. This woman is a recent graduate of Sonoma State. Her name is Maya Crockett. When she graduated a year ago, she was the first African-American female student to receive a degree in electrical engineering from our university. Now, not long ago, yes. Not long ago, Maya was asked what her professors, advisors, and staff at Sonoma State were like, especially in the context of her achievement. In answer to that question, Maya said this: "They were there when I needed them." This simple answer lies at the heart of our responsibility to Sonoma State students. We are here to provide the support they need when they need it, to thrive when they need it to thrive as they do the difficult work of earning a college degree. We are here to be that caring community that embraces and respects every single student, that provides support and is available for all of our students. It is our responsibility to make space for them to come to us with questions and concerns, to notice when they seem uncertain or unsure, even if they're not saying anything, to say hello or just smile as we walk across campus, and to communicate to them in multiple ways that we're here for them when they need us. This is the deliberate and purposeful engagement that I hope we can all undertake as this new year commences. This is the extra effort that will make Sonoma State a national model for student success and academic excellence. Thank you. I'm so excited about this new year. And now I'd like to invite Provost Lisa Vollendorf to step forward for her remarks. Lisa.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a new academic year. I personally love this time of year. It is thrilling. Well, it's always thrilling to stand on the Green Music Center stage, because how many people in the world get this opportunity except us? And it is really thrilling to see the campus abuzz again with faculty and students ready for 2018-19. Bring it on. Hundreds, and I want to say it, hundreds and hundreds of us stay on campus over the year. We have many staff across the campus community who work throughout the summer to do all the important work that needs to get done so the classes can start on Monday again. We have refurbished our buildings, readied our labs. We have actually done a deep clean. I learned yesterday that it has been completed. A deep clean of every single general assignment classroom for the first time, I think, in history. So I hope you noticed that. We've had people caring for our grounds, refreshing our technology, and doing all of this good work to ensure that we're ready to roll on Monday when the academic year begins. Some of our staff worked very hard to finalize the beautiful Wine Spectator Learning Center and to get the new cafe Stomping Grounds, get it? Ready to roll. And of course, we've continued our budget planning over the summer. We have continued to plan for the Stevenson Hall remodel, which is on track. We also continue to seek, very importantly and very urgently, we continue to seek workforce and student housing opportunities and partnerships throughout our community. So to everyone who does all of the vitally important work of Sonoma State University throughout the year and through the summer and across, in fact, all of the seasons, I thank you. All of us deeply appreciate the effort that occurs across the year in service to our community and in service to our students. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say it, especially because the former two speakers said it as well. Last year was a little bit unusual. I think you'll agree. The recent fires over the summer throughout the West and close to home in neighboring communities really have served as a constant reminder over the last 2 months, and a very chilling reminder of the impact of our own devastating fires last fall. Our decision during the fires, in fact, to move forward with our final WASC visit and to launch strategic planning in the wake of the fires did indeed help keep the university moving forward, even in a time of loss and of recovery. Sonoma Strong remains my favorite hashtag, as all three of you who follow me on Twitter probably know. I think I got one more follower during the breakfast, actually. It speaks, and I mean this very seriously, Sonoma Strong speaks to the resilience, to the empathy, and to the strength of our community at Sonoma State and of our broader community in Sonoma and neighboring counties. I thought a lot about last academic year during a recent backpack trip in the Sierras. The smoke from the Ferguson fire in Yosemite was strongly present as we headed south from Mammoth Lakes at the beginning of the trip. Rather than choosing one of the more typical trips that probably you're all thinking I did, like the John Muir Trail or a section of the Pacific Crest Trail, my husband and I instead, as we often do, chose a different path. Our plan this year was to cross the Silver Divide, which is south of Mammoth, and do an off-trail east-west trip along a very exquisitely beautiful range. We did spend a lot of time on trail, and there, as those of you who hike in the Sierras are probably familiar with know, we ran into dozens of hikers every single day who were heading either south to Mount Whitney, those were the lucky ones, or north to Tuolumne Meadows into the fires. As those of you who have done point-to-point or through hikes or any section know well, this is hiking with a serious purpose. These people on the JMC, on the PCT, or on the Appalachian Trail out east, for those more familiar with that, hike with intentionality to get from place to place. Well, we didn't have daily mileage goals like they did, but we too brought intentionality to our journey. We chose to intentionally inhabit and explore the alpine ecosystem that is known, as I know now, the lake country of the High Sierra. We spent the bulk of our 10 days completely off trail, and we sought out rarely visited lakes, navigated many unmarked, and I will confess, almost impassable passes at times. We went east to west and back again when almost everyone else takes a north-south axis. And it struck me as I hiked, from pass to pass and lake to lake, from fall to fall, which also did occur, that our choice was neither better nor worse than the thru hikers. It was just different, but it was the right choice for us. Our choice allowed us to learn about an environment that otherwise we would not observe as keenly if we were walking with a daily mileage goal. It allowed us to see Sierra columbines on high mountain passes, to witness an awe-inspiring and definitely terrifying early mountain rock slide very close to our tent, and to visit 34, but who's counting, alpine lakes. The sense of connectedness I felt throughout the trip reminded me, in a very poignant way, very much of the connectedness we feel to each other at Sonoma State University. Whether we have worked here for 1 week, and there's a group of new faculty who fall under this category, 1 year, or for one entire career, we all chose Sonoma State University at one time or another. We chose to be part of this incredible educational community. We chose to serve what is our increasingly diverse student body with integrity, and we chose to be part of the great public education system that is the California State University. We chose to be part of something bigger than ourselves at a university that aspires to serve every single student to be successful in his or her educational journey, and to do so, as President Sakaki said, with care. Our strategic planning process last year affirmed for all of us that we are part of an educational community committed to core values that we all share of diversity, sustainability, community engagement, adaptability. We support and stand by, at our core, the Seawolf commitment, and we are grateful to our students for placing integrity, respect, responsibility, and excellence at the center of what we do every day at Sonoma State. We know that the core values that we have identified in our plan already are embedded, and I'm very proud to say this, in our academic programs, in our pedagogy, in our co-curricular programming, in what we do increasingly here at the beautiful Green Music Center. They are embedded in our research, and they are embedded in our very ways of being at Sonoma State. Our strategic plan launched this year will allow us to more intentionally integrate those values into all of our work. And as the divisions first create strategic plans that will be built upon by schools and units, we have the opportunity to acknowledge, assess, and measure the impacts of our work and of the incredible work that we already do at Sonoma State in support of our values and in support of our key strategic priorities of student success, academic excellence and innovation, leadership cultivation, and transformative impact. Under this plan, we have the opportunity also to strengthen our support for faculty and staff, as well as to continue to improve our physical plant as we shift the institution towards strategic budgeting in alignment with the strategic plan. As you know from spring budget forum, we started some of this important work last year together. We created a university reserves policy to help us responsibly steward the fiscal resources of SSU, for which we thank the CFO for providing great leadership. We quadrupled our investment in research, scholarship, and creative activity in support of our faculty and our students so that we can support and meaningfully support, with dollars behind the commitment, our commitment to the teacher-scholar model. Moreover, we hired an Associate Vice President of Research, Steve Karp, who is already working to elevate support both for faculty and student research and creative activity. We hired a new Chief Information Officer who is here with us today, Lee Kritchmar. Hello, Lee. And Lee has begun already to improve our institutional and academic technology support. We brought in Dana Tweedle as the AVP of Facilities, who yesterday told me it was corny joke day, so watch out. And we brought in a new athletic director, Gail Barksdale, to serve our student athletes, again, with intentionality and integrity. We have delivered, I am proud to say, on our commitment to raise faculty salaries to the 15th percentile of the CSU salary scale. You have to clap for that. Lena's signaling to me that it is a small step, and it is true, but it is a step in the right direction. So I want to emphasize that thanks to this step, thanks to this investment, approximately 1/3 of our tenured and tenure-track faculty will see paychecks rise in the next pay period. We simultaneously committed to developing a plan to raise staff salaries, and that plan is in progress, and we hope to have something in place, or at least a plan to have something in place by the end of the semester. We committed to maintaining our current tenure density. Let's clap for that. Thank you, Argelia. We committed to maintaining our current tenure density at Sonoma State. We came in last fall, I think everybody now knows, at approximately 62% in our tenure density, which placed us at number 3 in the entire CSU system. We are proud that we have strong tenure density relative to other campuses, and we want to stay there. So part of our commitment, of course, in investing in our faculty involves launching new searches and effectively supporting committees to have robust processes, to have diverse candidate pools, and to have more diversified hiring. So I am pleased for this year, thank you. I am pleased for this year that we have not only implemented the salary adjustment plan, but also to a large extent because we did get new base funding for our GI 2025 ongoing initiative, we also have authorized 14 new tenure track searches across the entire university. Yay. And the most thrilling of all, today we are welcoming 17 new tenure track faculty to Sonoma State. I'm going to call these people's names. If you could remain standing by school, that would be really helpful, so we can acknowledge you and applaud for you. So from the School of Arts and Humanities, I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Megan Burke in Philosophy, Clea, hi Megan, Clea Feline in Art and Art History, Megan McIntyre in English, and Kim Meter in Music. Welcome to all of you. We have 2 new faculty in the School of Business and Economics, both in the Department of Business. Dr. Nagan Lakshmi Damaraju. Hi, Langa. and Dr. Angelo Camillo. Who I learned makes his own grappa, so you probably want to get to know him. To the School of Education, we're thrilled to welcome Dr. Lori Rhodes in Educational Leadership and Special Education, and Dr. Elita Amini Virmani in Early Childhood Studies. Hi, Elita. Welcome. We have a new librarian this year, and I saw her here this morning, Ms. Catherine Fonseca. Welcome to your new position. To Science and Technology, I'm thrilled to welcome Dr. Shubi Taneja in Computer Science, and Dr. Omaira Ortega in Math and Statistics, Dr. Brent Bancroft Hughes, who studies sea otters in biology, and Dr. Rodrigo Gaitan in Math and Statistics. Hey, Rodrigo. And to the School of Social Sciences, we welcome Dr. Kevin Fang in Geography, Environment, and Planning, Dr. Willie Jin in Political Science, and Dr. Su Yun Yoon in Sociology. Let's give everybody a hand. Thank you for joining us this year. This is also an opportune time to acknowledge the service of 5 years in his position of Dean John Wingard and thank him very much for his service. I don't think John's with us today, but we'll clap for him. And I'm thrilled today to welcome Dr. Maureen Buckley to the position of Interim Dean of Social Sciences. Thank you, Maureen. We also have our first opportunity together as a community to acknowledge and welcome Dr. Hollis Robbins, the new Dean of Arts and Humanities. So as you can see, this is an exciting time for us at Sonoma State. We have before us the opportunity to build on the incredible work that has been done over the years and to strengthen our support for students, faculty, and staff alike under the new strategic plan. As a community, we should be proud that we met last year's challenges with integrity and with grace. And this year, I believe we are poised to fly high as we bring even more intentionality and focus to our very important role as the North Bay's only public four-year university. I know we will do great things together because our commitment to being a strong, compassionate, adaptive, and indeed resilient educational community has already been tested. We have risen together from those challenges, and we will continue to rise in service of our students, our disciplines, our communities, and of the broader and very important role we play as an institution committed to access and excellence in public higher education. Thank you all for the work you do in service of these ideals. Thank you all for the work you're about to do in service of these ideals. Together, indeed, we are Sonoma Strong. Thank you. Thanks so much. It is my pleasure to introduce to you 4 faculty speakers who have been recognized for their outstanding educational work at SSU. As we transition this year to elevating our faculty and staff recognition and service awards to be university-wide events in the fall and in the spring, we also want to look back and acknowledge the winners from last year. The Excellence in Teaching Award winners will speak first. Everybody has been asked to prepare a 3 to 5 minute brief presentation on what they believe makes their work special and also why they believe that Sonoma State is the place that is meaningful for them to do their work. So first, Sakina Gerhart-Bryant, followed by Scott Horstein. They're both from the Arts and Humanities School, will speak. They were our 2 teaching award winners last year, followed by the 2 awardees for excellence in scholarship, Dr. John Fukuda and Dr. Don Romsberg. So Sakina, welcome.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to just get a little used to this teleprompter here. It floats oddly in front of you. I just want to start by saying that my speech today is not a miracle. It cannot possibly express the magnitude of all that I want to say, but it is a simple, humble, and very, very honest response to standing here in reception of this honorarium. So I'm impossibly grateful to be here. And I'd like to thank the provost for her support. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'd also like to thank President Sakaki, the award committee, all of my students and colleagues, whether you wrote comments for me or not, and the departments of English and philosophy. Everybody involved with this has been so incredibly, and again, impossibly lovely. Thank you. And I want to give a special shout out to Scott Horstein for sharing in this award with me. I can't imagine a better, let alone cooler person to be sharing this honor with. So Scott's awesome. He'll give the miracle speech. So now, not to generalize, I just want to come in and say that when students first come to campus, and I think we're all thinking about this, it's fair to say that many are really looking forward to making new friends, to the rock climbing wall, to starting courses in their major, and not at the top of their list, is taking that intro composition course or that intro critical thinking course that they come in and take. Even though these classes teach such fundamental skills that students all need to excel in college. So every semester, I'm introduced to a group of students who, on day one, are already ready to phone it in. They're already frustrated. They're already anxious. They feel often self-deprecating about their writing skills or their self-expression, and they are simply waiting to get my class over with. And that is the cold, hard reality. I do it with a smile. The thing is that when they were young children, they had a drive to communicate, as well as to create stories, to help make meaning out of the world, and to ask questions and to try to think really big thoughts. And somewhere along the way, perhaps because this desire is so personal and tied in with one's sense of self, this becomes something that students feel inadequate or shy or defensive about. They learn that class is a performance, and that rewards them with a grade. That's about all it does in their minds sometimes, rather than for having their own honest thoughts, the responses, or things to say, which is the mission of the university. They walk into that first day of class waiting to receive a feel-good grade reward from a perceived feel-good grade reward system, and that's me, and that freaks me out. And there I am, and I'm also conditioned to play this game, to play professor, and to feed into this whole weird system. But this has nothing to do with what writing and critical thinking are about. These are exciting, inborn human drives that have been too often reduced to a sort of secondary ritual to just be gotten through. And I just think this is bizarre. I think it's tragic, and I want to know how to fix this. So I'm always thinking, how do I fix this? How do we fix this? Well, so one of the places that I start is the fact that the university is the most beautiful place imaginable, not just this hall, not just aesthetically, and not even in an idealistic sense, but in the actual possibility that the university offers to our students, who we've invited here to remember that they have always, in truth, loved to learn. They want to grow. They want to become educated, and they want to become voiced members of a society where they matter, where their ideas matter, where their words are intelligent expressions of their authentic and inward selves. So in my classes, we discuss their feelings, we talk about their experiences, and I think most importantly, we dialogue about the beliefs that they enter into this university with head on. We talk about writing and creating educated conversation, cultivating new and critical ideas as things that we already long for, not just what we have to do to get a degree. We talk about how this is a part of being a human being. And do they remember this from being children? My classroom is really old school, very back to basics. It's stripped down, It's just a conversation with a group of human beings talking collectively together about an idea, a book, some other object of shared inquiry. And for me, that is a good and solid and honest method of teaching that reminds us of these eternal pleasures of being and becoming educated. Speaking of honesty, which is a really, really big concept for me and a really big word in my lexicon, all of the moments that I find the most rewarding at Sonoma State are just such moments of honesty, not only in the classroom, but also in our community as a whole. We have honest dialogues with our colleagues about teaching as we run into each other in the hall, and we've all had this. We've all had the 2-minute, what are we doing? Conversations. We have a kind of honesty when we commune about our shared struggles and successes. We have honest debates in academic senate. That's really exciting. Regardless of our different perspectives, these are honest dialogues. We have honest self-reflections and introspections at the end of the day when we ourselves feel really burnt out. Everybody can relate to this. We feel really burnt out. We feel like we failed and everything went wrong. And oh my gosh, how did I spill my coffee there? And where's my car? But honestly speaking, it is such an honor to be your colleague. It is a tremendous honor to be recognized for this award as somebody who constantly stops to recall my own drive just to keep learning, including how to be an educator and also to figure out where on earth my car actually is. So thank you very much, and I have nothing to say. My speech is not a miracle, but this is an honest expression of how I feel.
Okay, good morning. I'm deeply grateful to have been honored with the Excellence in Teaching Award and to share the award with my colleague Sakina. I'm humbled to be given a chance to speak about my teaching work in front of so many of you for whom I have so much respect and admiration, so thanks for your forbearance as I go on for a little bit. Many of the principles that guide my teaching relate to my professional career as a dramaturg working in the theater. Broadly speaking, a dramaturg is a theater artist who helps create unity from seemingly disparate parts. Drawing on textual analysis and research, the dramaturg facilitates conversation among other theater artists working on a production to identify patterns and consistency in story and image. Dramaturgs work with playwrights and directors to help plan and revise scripts and stagings, with theaters to help align play content and season selection with mission, and with audiences to help clarify the significance of the play and of the theater through community engagement and outreach. So that's sort of where I come from. Here at Sonoma State, I teach dramaturgy, playwriting, theater history, and dramatic literature. I also co-teach in the THAR 160 Humanities learning community, which is a wide-ranging introduction to the art and study of performance. In these courses, as I would do with a playwright or a director, I try to help students articulate gut reactions, then discover and analyze the patterns and the context for those reactions. I also try to use teaching to build community, to unify parts into a whole. So I tend toward creating student experiences that work in a festival format, working with multiple student teams that are working side by side, a dynamic that sometimes can create opportunities for social justice work and for placemaking. So a couple examples, one of these festivals was called Facing Our Truth, 10-minute plays on Trayvon Race and Privilege, which was an evening of 6 short plays acted and directed by faculty and students from many different departments and many racial backgrounds. There's a couple ongoing new play festivals we have in the Theater Arts and Dance Department the Mega Hot Lava Readings Festival of Readings, and the Power Lines Festival of Fully Produced New Plays. And then a few years back, we did the Copeland Creek Journey, or the Copeland Creek Project theatrical journey, which was performed on the banks of Copeland Creek and in the Environmental Tech Center. In my capacity as SSU Arts Dramaturg, which is a position that was created by the School of Arts and Humanities, I manage Sonoma State's Arts Integration Program, which is a teaching initiative that supports faculty and their arts integrated pedagogy by identifying arts events and activities that are germane to their courses and by providing arts-related instructional support. This instructional support includes encounters with student and professional artists, study guides and supplemental readings, and guest teaching sessions in my colleagues' classes. In 3 years now, the Arts Integration Program has facilitated roughly 6,000 students from various courses, from management to physics to education to criminal justice, learning about their core subjects through the pedagogical tool of art. On one Thursday, it was particularly a happy day in my experience. One Thursday this past April, there were about 60 first-year geometry students exploring embodied learning practices in the rec center with a radical feminist dance company called Urban Bushwomen. While at the exact same time, there were 100 students from business and leadership classes in here that participated in a private lecture demonstration with a Grammy Award-winning contemporary music ensemble called Eighth Blackbird. So we're looking to continue to grow the program. I was very gratified to see in the WASC report that came out recently that one of the commendations specifically was about how we've managed to integrate the Green Music Center more into the life of the campus. So we look forward to sharing more arts integration opportunities with you soon. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank the many colleagues and students who've provided so much support and inspiration to this teaching work. My department colleagues, my colleagues in the learning community, specifically Christine Calley, Judy Navis, Alexis McNabb, Doyle Ott, who have taught me so much and taught me how to teach that course. Also, the many, many people and the students and colleagues who have supported the Arts Integration Program, our past Dean of Arts and Humanities, Thane Stearns, our current Dean, Hollis Robbins, Judy and Lisa, Green Music Center, Jacob Yarrow, who has so many wonderful ideas about arts integration, our former GMC Executive Directors, Aaron Maida, my Arts and Humanities and Green Music Center colleagues, really so grateful for your colleagueship and collaboration. Thank you all for your time listening to these thoughts about dramaturgy and teaching and art, and let's hope we all have a really fun year, yeah?
So I'm pleased to introduce the two winners of the President's Award for Excellence in Scholarship. Dr. John Fukuda will speak first, and then Don Romsberg.
So I was asked to discuss briefly some of the work that I presumably led to this award. So my lab over the years has worked on two distinct areas of chemistry. One is on a molecule called nitroxyl, which is made up of only 3 atoms, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, or HNO. And the other one is on the work we've done on persulfides, which is a biochemical functional group. Now, I'm not going to present the details of the science, but I'll just mention the possible impact of the work. So, firstly, with regards to nitroxyl, my lab has been involved in the chemical biology and pharmacology of HNO for many years. During this time, HNO is determined to be an ideal treatment for heart failure. In fact, a lot of the things that we did led to this particular discovery. And it's currently being developed as a treatment for heart failure by a pharmaceutical company called Bristol Myers Squibb, BMS. And by their estimates, it's anticipated to be possibly $1 billion drug. I, of course, will receive none of this, which is probably a good thing, because if you think I'm arrogant now, if I got some money for this, I'd be unbearable, okay? Now, the persulfide work is newer, and almost all of this occurred at Sonoma State. And what we've been working on is a molecule called cysteine persulfide. Again, I'm not going to go into the chemistry of this. And we think this may be the 22nd amino acid. And so for those of you who have biochemical experience or have courses in even biology, the discovery of a new amino acid is huge. It's fundamental. And our work with respect to the biochemistry and chemistry of this functional group or this amino acid appears to indicate that it's involved in cellular protection against stress. And if this ends up being true, this may be involved, this little amino acid and its incorporation into proteins may be important to the etiology of cancer and the development of neurodegenerative diseases, and an important factor to cardiovascular health, among other things. Thus, unraveling the mechanisms of persulfide involvement may create new therapeutic avenues and strategies for treating multiple diseases. Now again, the majority of this work was performed at Sonoma State in the chemistry department in collaboration with Joseph Lynn in the biology department with primarily Sonoma State University undergraduate students. Now fortunately for me, with regards to this work, the chemistry department, along with Joe Lynn's lab in biology, has a culture of scholarly research that is primarily only internally supported. The research culture and tradition which allowed this work to occur at Sonoma State is due to the efforts of several key professors who were establishing this culture prior to my arrival at Sonoma State University 9 years ago. Primarily Professor Carmen Works and Professor Jennifer Wiles, who established this culture that I just kind of plugged into and which allowed us to do this work. Now, more important than the work itself is the effect it has had on the training of students, which of course is our primary objective as a faculty. Students involved in this work and other research projects in the department have gone on to top-rate PhD programs. For example, they've gone on to Michigan, Illinois, Cornell, Johns Hopkins, Cal, UC San Diego, just to name a few. And they have taken positions in industry. It is my firm belief that involvement of talented students in research is a key component to their future success as scholars. The Department of Chemistry has endeavored and succeeded in training students in research and to excel, to be competitive at the next level. Thus, it is important to acknowledge the efforts of faculty in chemistry who've taken on and embraced this important activity, as well as acknowledge the impact it has on the future of students. Okay, so that's the teleprompter scripted part of this. I am proud, now we're unscripted, so you can quit doing the, I'm proud to be a professor of chemistry at Sonoma State University. And receiving this award was, it's a huge honor, but it's either I think it might have been a typographical error. And I'm actually kind of embarrassed. It's awkward, and I'm even embarrassed to get an award like this because it really wasn't me. All I ever did was provide the opportunity for some really talented students to express themselves creatively in science and specifically in chemistry. That's all I did, okay? I'm happy to receive this award, but again, it was a group effort, and it is a tribute to the students and the chemistry department at Sonoma State University that we were able to accomplish this. But really, it wasn't so much me as it was our students. We have some outstanding students. The raw material we have is fantastic. And so, as much as anything, I want to thank them and certainly the committee for honoring us in this award. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I also want to thank Librarian Emeritus Paula Hammett for putting me forward for this award and for my students and fellow faculty who supported me for the award. I feel like I won the award for some kind of non-traditional scholarship, and in that sense, I want to tell you a little bit about what that scholarship is, where it came from, and maybe have us think a little bit about what this model of scholarship can do for all of us as faculty at Sonoma State. So in 2011, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth advocates were working to pass what was called the Fair Education Act, which mandates LGBT inclusion in K-12 history education. There were at the time, apparently, numerous legislators who were wary. They actually didn't know if there was enough LGBT history to be taught or whether it was age appropriate. So the advocates asked me, as a historian and a queer studies academic in the state's public university system, to help validate that, yes, there is such a thing as scholarly LGBT history, and yes, it can be taught in age-appropriate ways from elementary through high school. So that seemed easy enough, and as of January 2012, the Fair Education Act became state law. Yeah, yay, yeah. But there was a problem. The teachers didn't know the history, the textbooks didn't have the history, and the state's standards and framework didn't mention the history. So the groundbreaking new law, which was the first of its kind in the nation and has just only, as of this last June, been followed by Massachusetts, was essentially at the time a kind of symbolic gesture. Making the state's history education fair, truly fair, has taken great effort, and I'm proud for the role that I've played as a public-facing scholar and teacher. First, I worked with a team of scholars across the country in producing the Making the Framework Fair report, which, based on 4 decades of scholarly work in the field of queer history, helped substantiate where the state's history social science framework needed to be revised to incorporate LGBT concepts and content. The state approved its new framework in 2016, and I'm happy to say that there is LGBT content in grades 2, 4, 5, 8, and 9 through 12. Yeah. Second, I worked with advocates throughout 2017 to ensure that the new textbooks actually reflected the framework with historically accurate LGBT material and examples. Third, I've been training K-12 teachers across the state in new LGBT content and concepts. And I'll say that it's one thing to teach to teachers and work with teachers in San Francisco or Long Beach. It's another thing to do it in Fresno. And I think it's really important to recognize the diversity of challenges that our teachers face in providing this content. Here I've been explaining both the importance of LGBT content to history education and to school climate and student success. I've also been empowering teachers with accessible and fact-based resources. Fourth, in spring of 2018, my edited anthology, The Routledge History of Queer America, came out, and this assembled 31 authors to cover the expansive terrain of scholarly LGBTQ history. I hope this book will be a resource for K-12 history teachers as well as history and education professors as they incorporate more LGBT content into courses and professional development. This matters because right now, history education is one of many battlegrounds across this country and around the globe for the very terms of reality itself. From the science of climate change to media studies, from the foundations of critical thinking to political science, and from macroeconomics to the intersections of criminal justice studies, gender studies, and ethnic studies, all of us, as academics and educators, have a platform from which to make our world safer, our policy more evidence-based, and our societies and our systems more just. As SSU educators, we aren't just beholden to R1 university publisher parish politics, and that certainly comes with costs, but it also comes with profound opportunities. My scholarly trajectory over the last 7 years would not have been valued under an R1 metrics. But here at SSU, I can measure my worth through the capacity of my ability to make an impact on my field, yes, and on the world around me. This hasn't been a side hustle. It's been at the core of what makes me an impactful educator here at SSU and beyond. I encourage all of you to utilize your knowledge base, methods, and teaching skills, not just to advocate your own scholarly interests or to support our students here at Sonoma State, as important as those things truly are. I urge all of you to use all of that out there. Our communities, our state, our nation, and our world need all the help they can get from perspectives grounded in solid evidence, sound reasoning, social justice, and engaged scholarship. Have a great year.
Next up is Dr. Irma Jean Sims, who is our CFA president for this year and is being wheeled out.
Good morning. It's an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity to address you at the 2018 Convocation at Sonoma State University. I'm Dr. Irma Jean Sims, and I'm your newly elected CFA chapter president. I teach in the School of Education. I want to start this morning with some good news. The California Faculty Association has more than 28,000 members in the CSU. That includes faculty, lecturers, who are our wonderful faculty as well, and counselors, librarians, and coaches. Sonoma State University's CFA chapter has one of the highest percentage of members in the CSU, and I'm so proud of that. The California Faculty Association has been successful in increasing state funding for the CSU. The funding for the CSU includes $364 million in funding augmentations. That's both one-time and ongoing funding. This increase will result in enrollment growth to accommodate an additional 3,641 full-time equivalent students and will support that cohort for 4 years. Significantly, the augmentation includes $25 million dedicated funding for tenure-track hiring in the CSU with legislative oversight and earmarked funding. So we're doing everything we can to increase the tenure-track density. I'd like to thank all of you for supporting these efforts. Your participation in our April 4th rally in Sacramento. Some of you were there with us, and we're so appreciative of that. Many of you testified at the Capitol or supporting these efforts right here at Sonoma State. Truly made the difference. In addition, I'd like to thank Students for a Quality Education, SQE. SQE organized jointly with CFA to increase funding in the CSU. This victory is an example of the power of solidarity and what we can achieve when we stand together as faculty, students, and as a union. Next, I'd like to share with you that the faculty at CSU and statewide will be receiving a 3.5% increase effective November 1st, 2018, and that's for all faculty. Woo! In addition, on July 1st, 2019, you will also receive a 2.5 increase, for a total of 6% increase in your salaries. This raise is the result of the hard work of the CFA bargaining team and board of directors. We're working hard to always negotiate a fair contract and to protect your pension and benefits as well. In our last contract negotiation with the CSU Board of Trustees, CFA was able to get raises for all the faculty and have no take-backs on faculty pensions and benefits. This is something that few other unions were able to accomplish. We're working for you. I want to name just a few benefits of being a CFA member. You have the right to vote in CFA elections on tentative agreements between the CFA and CSU management, which, if ratified, become part of our faculty contract. Access to professional liability insurance and membership in 5 organizations at no extra cost. The American Association of University Professors, the California Teachers Association, the National Education Association, and Service Employees International Union. You will receive benefits that those organizations have. And, of course, protection of your faculty rights by CFA. If you've not had a chance to join CFA, come and join us. It's so easy to join CFA. Just go to calfac.org/join-CFA. Become a member today and become a part of a community of faculty striving to protect our profession, advocating for our university system, and standing up for our students. CFA's strategic focus is social justice unionism. It has 3 components: bread and butter issues, which is a fair contract, safe and healthy work environments, professional development and training for our members, and social justice. We are in solidarity with other unions, with the local community, and we're working for social justice issues to make our union and our universities better. You can look forward to a workshop on unconscious bias, which will be held here September the 21st. I'm hoping you'll join us for that. And on October the 25th, we will have a pension and benefits workshop as well. You'll be receiving some emails about these wonderful events. I'm looking forward to seeing you at our CFA union meetings, our events, our action days, and of course, as always, our social justice solidarity socials held right here at Lobos. I want to take a minute to share with you your newly elected board. As I said, I'm Irma Jean Sims, the newly elected president. Our vice president, if you'll just wave your hand, Tim Wadling. Secretary, Sam Brennan. Our treasurer, Vincent Richmond. Delegate at large to the CFA Assembly, Napoleon Reyes. Our faculty rights and grievance chair, Ellen Carlton. Our affirmative action chair, Jeffrey Reeder. Our lectures right co-chair, Carlos Torres. Our other lecture rights co-chair, Marjorie Lear. The tenure track representation chair, Emily Clark. Our labor and community outreach chair, Justine Law. and our Political Action Chair and Membership Organizing Chair, Elaine Newman. Thank you for all of you who participated in our new faculty orientation presentation on Tuesday. I'm happy to say that 94% of you joined the union on that day. Thank you for being a CFA member and activist at Sonoma State University. And as one of our statewide leaders always reminds us, we are stronger together. Have a great fall semester and a great academic year. And remember, we are here to serve you. Thank you.
We have the staff representative to the Senate next, Ms. Arcelia Sandoval.
Good morning, and thank you all for taking time out of your day to be here as we welcome the new academic year. My name is Arcelia Sandoval, staff representative to the Academic Senate and compliance officer in the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs. Due to time constraints, I will be giving my speech in English with Spanish translation on the screen. Debido al límite de tiempo, daré mi discurso en inglés con la traducción en español en la pantalla. I appreciate all of your help and advice during my first year as your staff representative. I look forward to working with all of you in the coming year. In my role, I have come across many wonderful people that make me feel proud to work at Sonoma State University. With the devastating fires we experienced, it has been difficult, a very difficult year with challenges and accomplishments like no other at SSU and the entire community. Due to the dedicated and caring leadership, staff, students, and faculty, we have helped our SSU community through very difficult times. My favorite highlights have been meeting staff and learning about their successes, challenges, and desires, followed by seeing SSU's leadership at work and seeing their accomplishments to make SSU a better place for all. As one staff member said, I am grateful for the changes the new SSU administration has implemented. Their recognition of the inequity problems staff face and their desire to make it a better place is encouraging. I agree, and would also like to add that the administration's support of diversity and social justice is greatly appreciated. Katie Music, Tammy Kember, and I have been working to reestablish Sonoma State University Staff Council. I am grateful to Dr. Sakaki and cabinet members who have approved the Constitution and bylaws. And at this moment, they await CSU legal counsel review. Please join me in my optimism as we work through the proper channels to ensure that we have done everything correctly and once again have a voice in shared governance. Thank you. The culture is changing. I see it changing to allow Sonoma State time to participate in more activities. Last year, staff participated in more committees than ever before. Cooperation and understanding of the commitment and dedication to SSU outside of our position's responsibility is necessary. I thank the managers and supervisors for helping staff carve out time out of their day to participate. I encourage staff to take the necessary steps to commit and contribute to the success of the Staff Council. We wrote the Constitution and bylaws for the Staff Council so that they are inclusive. Eligibility to participate includes all non-faculty SSU employees and SSU auxiliaries who are employed on at least a half-time basis or more, with an initial appointment of 11 months. Integrity and respect are going to be fundamental to its success. The CWUF commitment sets the precedence for a fundamental framework for dialogue and engagement with each other. As a CWUF, we each commit ourselves to the highest ethical standards with integrity, respect, excellence, and responsibility to conduct oneself as an ethical member of the SSU community. Imagine what it would be like if we implement these fundamental guidelines into everyday life. I look forward to the future as we develop the Staff Council together. And in closing, I would like to thank the entire campus community for their hard work this past year. The staff members' commitment day in and day out matters. With our deeds, we leave our legacy, values, and lessons for future generations. I look forward to the new year with faith and optimism. Espero el año nuevo con fe y optimismo. Have an amazing academic year. Thank you.
And our last speaker to remind us why we are all here, Ms. Carly Chatterley, who is our president of Associated Students this year.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. It's my turn being a teacher over here. If someone would have told me when I was the first year that by the time I was the fourth year, I'd be giving a presentation in front of this many people representing the over 9,000 students that come to this university, I probably would have told them that they're right. It sounds like something I would do. For those of you I haven't had the privilege of meeting, my name is Carly Chatterley, and I'm the president of the Associated Students. Sonoma State was embraced in the CSU system about 57 years ago, and since then, we've had 7 amazing presidents and roughly 40 student body presidents. I say this to point out the value that you all here in this room have in assisting the students that come through our doors. The students in student government only have 12 months to complete our goals, which usually leaves us planting seeds we may not see grow. But you all, as administration, faculty, and staff, have the ability to water those plants once they grow. The Associated Students process in forming resolutions and taking positions on items that come before the Senate isn't an easy process. And yes, we would be able to function if we only had professional staff to do the work, but that's not really the point of our organization, and quite frankly, this institution. An institution's job isn't just to educate their students, but it's also to cultivate leaders, to inspire the desire to participate civically, and to help students change the world. You all in this room have the ability to inspire someone to further their education or pursue their dreams. Every interaction you have with a student can change your life for the better or for the worse. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather change someone's life for the better. With the help of this university, the Associated Students and I believe we can accomplish so much in the short 12-month term we see before us. But we won't be satisfied with just a pat on the head from the university. Being a student-centered campus means seeking student voice and input from the student leadership. I want to praise the LMS group for Canvas, the Division of Student Affairs, and the Student Center leadership for always seeking student input and advice on these new changes and directions they are going for. They are an example of what should be happening, but sadly, there are still some groups on this campus that avoid student leadership consultation, and that really needs to be a thing of the past. There are so many issues plaguing the student population within the CSU, and that's bringing up barriers to students' education here at Sonoma State. I don't want to bring down the mood, but the truth is, there are many people in this room that aren't aware of the statistics I'm about to share with you. The quality of student education isn't just what students are learning in the classroom. It's also food availability, housing, mental health, physical health, sense of belonging, and financial support. What many of you may not realize is financial aid only covers about 46% of campus-based fees and tuition, but it's usually the living expenses of being a student that people are struggling with. This is even closer to home with the recent fires that hit Sonoma County, and it getting even more expensive, especially for students to live here. According to a recent study commissioned by the CSU, to try to cover these unimaginable costs, about 3 out of 4 students are working more than 20 hours a week. This is unacceptable. How are students supposed to focus on their studies when they are too busy working on how they're going to pay for their bills? On top of this, students aren't just worried about how they're going to pay their bills, but also where they're going to get their next meal. The same study reported about 42% of CSU students having food insecurity in the last year. That means that nearly half of the 500,000 students that are in the CSU system have to worry about what and if they're going to eat. This deeply saddens me, but I really think it's something that we can change here at Sonoma State. This is our time as a university and the associated students to fight for our needs before we worry about the new fancy things we can bring to this campus. The associated students and I, as their president, will be watching the spending of every student dollar, insisting on feedback and discussion to make sure that students aren't paying for something they don't need to be. So many discussions with student leadership talk about students in the abstract, or they overlook that we are real, tangible people with very real challenges. We cannot forget our students' basic needs because that is why we are really here. We need to start respecting students and their identities. We need to fight for student mental health concerns and make sure that those concerns are being addressed. We need to fight for our sexual assault survivors on campus. We need to fight for minoritized students and start getting more professors of minoritized identities to mentor these students. This is a year of change for our campus, everyone, and I am excited that I am able to represent the students this year. Let's go out and be advocates for the over 9,000 students we have on our campus because they are our students and we really do want them to thrive. With all this being said, I want to thank you all for the support you have given the students here at Sonoma State and the associated students. But I also want to remind you that the associated students isn't here to tell you what a great job you're doing, although you are. It's to challenge you and to inspire you to new heights and possibilities for our campus. There are student leaders on this campus because of you all in this room, and I can't wait to see us diversify those leaders this year. Thank you for your continued support of the associated students. We really do appreciate you all.
Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for the work that you did over the summer to get ready for today. And thank you for going into the classroom on Monday and supporting our classroom work on Monday as we kick off the 2018-19 academic year. Welcome.